Pihak-pihak media, tuan-tuan puan-puan, pada hari ini kita akan bincang tentang GST ya. Okey, saya akan baca kenyataan media saya. Lepas tu saya akan buat satu sesi soal jawab di mana saya akan buat beri penjelasan lanjut lah. Okey, baik. GST Barisan Nasional adalah cukai regresif kepada majoriti. Ini title dia. Kerajaan Barisan Nasional sedang menghadapi krisis fiskal yang ternyata. Kadang-kadang percaya bahawa ketiga-tiga punca utama krisis ini adalah seperti berikut. Pertama, asas cukai yang lemah, a poor tax base, pembaziran perbelanjaan, profligate spending, dan rasuah yang ketara, corruption, unabated corruption. Jumaat lepas, iaitu pada Menteri Idris Jala dalam satu forum telah membayangkan bahawa kerajaan akan melaksanakan cukai barangan dan perkhidmatan ataupun GST. Beliau memetik Singapura sebagai model yang mempunyai kadar GST 7% dan mendakwa bahawa pada kadar ini pendapatan kerajaan boleh meningkat di antara 20 bilion ke 25 bilion setahun. Keadilan memahami rasional di sebalik GST iaitu untuk memperluaskan dan meningkatkan asas cukai yang sedia ada. At the current moment, only about 12% of the population is paying income tax. So there is a need to widen up the tax base. That is why the GST is being introduced. Walau bagaimanapun, kelemahan asas cukai kami bukannya berpunca daripada pengelakan cukai ataupun tax evasion, tetapi daripada fakta bahawa pendapatan isi rumah majoriti rakyat Malaysia adalah terlalu rendah. While we understand the rationale for GST to spread the tax base, the reality is people are not paying tax not because of tax evasion. People are not paying tax because they don't make enough money to pay tax. Ya? Majoriti rakyat Malaysia tidak mempunyai pendapatan yang mencukupi untuk membayar cukai pendapatan. Asas cukai yang lemah ini adalah berpunca daripada gaji rendah. That is the reality of the thing. People are not paying tax because their salary is too low. Oleh itu, rasional di sebalik GST Barisan Nasional adalah memang silap dan salah. The rational thinking behind implementing GST is completely wrong and flawed. Menjanjikan penurunan cukai korporat dan cukai pendapatan untuk offset GST ini hanya akan membantu orang kaya yang sedang membayar teks. Dalam erti kata lain, plan GST Barisan Nasional adalah regresif dan pada dasarnya akan melihat majoriti rakyat membayar lebih cukai daripada minoriti orang kaya. Okay? The point I want to stress is this. While GST will broaden the tax base, the data that we have shows that people don't have money to pay tax. They're not evading tax per se. Yeah? So when you implement GST, you are essentially punishing the poor that is not paying tax at the moment. A deduction in your income tax and corporate tax only helps people who are rich or are already paying tax. Yeah? So therefore the GST plan is regressive. It is not progressive. Regressive, it punishes the poor rather than the rich. So this is the fundamental difference why we are against GST at this moment. Okay? Krisis kewangan ini boleh dielakkan dengan menghapuskan projek-projek mega yang tiada manfaat dan atau yang mempunyai kos yang berlebihan, dan dengan menangani rasuah secara serius. Melainkan jika dan sehingga Barisan Nasional membuktikan ia boleh mengurangkan pembaziran dan membanteras rasuah dengan berkesan, kerajaan tidak mempunyai hak untuk memperkenalkan GST. The second point I want to make is not just the basic data that people don't have enough money to pay tax, is the fact that the government, the cost of the fiscal crisis, is the fact that the government has a dubious mega projects, inflated cost of mega projects, and inability to tackle corruption seriously. If you want to solve the fiscal crisis, curb the dubious mega projects and also cut down corruption. I mean, corruption is about 28 billion a year. Yeah? And I'll show you the figure that Idris Jala talked about to raise 20 to 35 billion. If you can cut 28 billion a year, there's no need to raise 20 or 25 billion through a GST. Okay, akhir sekali, Menteri Idris Jala meminta kadar GST Singapura iaitu 7% sebagai modal untuk Malaysia. The model that is chosen is 7%. Ini adalah sangat membimbangkan kerana ia bercanggah daripada kadar 4% yang dicadangkan oleh Kementerian Kewangan. Kementerian Kewangan pada masa dia debate GST tahun lalu dah cakap dia akan buat 4%. Kenapa dalam forum ini Menteri kata 7%? Menggunakan modal 7%. Ya? Kalau tak percaya pergi ke website Ministry of Finance. Dalam website dia pun kata 4%. Ya? Kami ingin mengingatkan beliau, itu Menteri Idris Jala, bahawa apabila Singapura memperkenalkan GST pada tahun 1994, ia adalah pada kadar yang rendah, iaitu 3% saja. The introduction rate was 3%. Dan kerajaan Singapura mengekalkan kadar 3% itu selama 9 tahun sebelum membenarkan peningkatan ke 4% pada tahun 2003. Ia hanya meningkatkan ke kadar 7% pada tahun 2007, iaitu 13 tahun selepas GST diperkenalkan di Singapura. Jadi untuk Menteri memetik 7% kadar itu yang dipakai oleh Singapura sekarang, ialah he's forgetting the historical chart of GST introduction in Singapore. Jadi saya nak kata, jika Menteri minat sangat dengan model GST Singapura, adakah dia berani buat komitmen GST pada kadar 3% selama 9 tahun? A moratorium on the GST rise for 9 years and to keep it at 3%, introduced at 3%. This is what we want to ask the Minister to explain. Why did he pick 7% when the Finance Ministry already said 4%? Yeah? Why did he use a 7% to illustrate that he can raise 20 to 25 billion? And if he loves the Singapore model so much, please follow what the Singapore did, which is 3% for 9 years, and bring up to the rate of 7% after 13 years of implementation from GST. We want to hear his response to this. Okay? Terima kasih. I will now take questions and answers. Ada apa-apa soalan?
Sorry, I just want to confirm that only 12% of the current working population is paying tax right now. Right?
That is true.
12%.
About 12%. 10 to 12%.
10 to 12%.
And you need to have a $3,000 salary before you can actually pay tax, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, in your opinion, when would be the right time to come up with this?
Implement GST, is it? I think the first thing, as a responsible government, the first thing you have to do is show what have you done to reduce mega projects, inflated mega projects. Yeah? Second, show what have you done to reduce the level of corruption in the country. Now, if you can show that you've done these two things and you still cannot balance your book, you still have a fiscal crisis, then you're entitled to consider GST. But consider GST at a very low level, yeah, to allow people to adjust to it, not start at 7%. If you start at 7%, you cause inflationary pressure as well into the market. Okay, so this is very important.
Say it does come out of GST against whatever you say. The government then at least try and maybe cut back on some of its other taxes or duties and all that sort of thing.
You know, the government did say they were going to cut corporate tax and personal income tax. Yeah? But that only affects 12% of the people that pay tax. You understand? So people who are rich, so-called middle class who are paying tax, yeah, they get a tax break. But the poor gets hit by the GST directly. You know what I mean? Yeah? So therefore, the basis for introducing GST is to broaden the tax base is fundamentally flawed because people are not evading tax. People don't have money to pay tax. That's the reality. That's why they don't pay income tax. You know, look at 88% of the population, working population, don't pay tax. So I think that fundamentally that issue is important. Second is whether they are taking efforts to curb corruption and rein in dubious mega projects.
Sorry, Wong, just want to check. Tax is like when you earn 2,000 ringgit, 2,500 ringgit and above, then you have to pay tax. So I'm trying to say that the majority of the population is about 80%, if I'm mistaken, 70%. Is actually earning less than 2,500.
Yeah. That is why, I mean, unless the income tax department is not doing their job, which I think they're doing quite well, yeah, a lot of people just do not fall under taxable bracket. I think the issue here that we want to emphasize is Idris Jala cannot pick the figure 7%. Yeah? Use it as a model at a forum, and you know, we all should be very alarmed at 7%. Yeah? And we want the minister to explain. If you want to use Singapore as a model, please introduce at 3% for 9 years, no price hike. Okay? Don't throw in the 7% and expect people to be clapping on the streets. You know, that there will be no inflationary pressure and all that, I don't think so. No. What our PKR position is very clear. Show us that you have managed to cut corruption. Show us there's no more funny mega projects. Okay? Then show us, can you balance the book? You cannot balance, we will consider GST. And if we consider GST, there's a step 2 now, at a very low rate. To be fair to people, to allow people to adjust to the GST system, yeah? To allow the process to take place, to allow the companies to rebate, to ask for rebates and all this. You know, you can't implement a system at 7%, it's too high.
So in terms of if we can curb corruption itself, we can save about 28.
The report that this was back in 2010. I think it was published by the Star. They asked the second finance minister what is the fertilization and corruption. What is lost in here. He said about 28%. I think there is a report out there that says Transparency International estimate at 40 billion. So just say, I mean, you show me you can save 10 billion a year after corruption. And we can talk about GST. Put that effort in, really combat corruption. Don't give us the lip service that they're doing their best. Because I've not seen a single high-profile person being charged. And also cutting the mega projects, like the MRT is good enough, but does it have to cost 60 billion? Seriously, guys? Yeah? Show us the savings. Show us that you still cannot balance the book. Yes, let's look at a broad-based GST model. But start it low. Because you don't want to punish people, especially the poor. More questions? We'll be following up on the GST matter. We will call a press conference also within this week or next week to ask the minister to at least release data. Because we have our own data, we've computed our own data. Yeah? So we ask the minister to release his data so that we can compare notes. Because GST is not a political issue per se. It is about how to fix the tax system, how to fix the whole structure of the base level for the tax. And we hope that it can be a bipartisan issue. Yeah? Don't throw us a figure and expect us to just accept blindly. We want to know, how much savings are they going to take out from income tax, how much from corporate tax, yeah? How much can they actually gain? All this needs to be answered. Okay?